G'day guys, well finally the full build of the Cobra style punching bag using a power twister. Now I've gone through 5 prototypes, I've done a whole bunch of tests that you've seen me do, and now I think this is the most optimum design at the moment at the lowest possible cost. Now as with most of my full builds, I'm going to put all the details, including all the links of all the stuff you need to make this, in my blog, fighterdiy.com, and I'll put a link to this project in the description so you can check that out. Now guys, if you've got any ideas or suggestions, make sure you put them in the comments. Now let's get on with the build. For this build, I'm using a 30 kilogram power twister. Now, they come with these handles, these rubber handles. You just got to use a thin, flat screwdriver to work your way between the rubber section and the pole. And eventually that sort of comes loose and they come off. For mounting it, I found the best solution is a 1-inch galvanized steel pipe. It's as solid as. And this fits right inside, just needs a bit of tape around the end for a nice snug fit. Alright, this should be enough tape. Just going to see if that works. Yep, that's a little bit tight, but that's good. You want it to be tight. Alright, that's about it. I'm going to tape it at this point with duct tape. For your base, there are a couple of options. You can either use an umbrella base, a really not heavy one like 50 pounds, or you can make your own base using an MDF board and bolt on a 1-inch flange into which your galvanized steel pipe will screw in. And onto this, you put a couple of 10-litre water containers and you can strap them together with an Oki strap, and that makes for a really nice solid base. But if you don't want to go to the trouble of making this, just use an umbrella base. It's probably the easiest way to do it. If you are using an umbrella base, make sure to remove all the plastic from the rim of the umbrella base and then use a section of pool noodle split lengthwise and just shove that in there all the way to the bottom, and then you can put your galvanized steel pipe in there, shove that in, and that should sit nice and firm. But that pretty much is done. So now we're ready for the top section. For the top, I'm using a section of PVC pipe that's roughly the same diameter as the galvanized steel pipe. Now this fits over the top, and I've had to put a bit of tape over the metal pipe to make for a snug fit. Now if you can't find the right PVC pipe, you can use a bit of dowel, wood dowel to go into the pipe, or you can use a metal bit of pipe that might go over or inside of there. But you need roughly the same diameter pipe to allow for your pool noodle to then be mounted onto that pipe. So this will go on top. The pool noodles, I've got one that'll go sit here and another one that will sit on top there, and then I'll have my main target sitting there. So I'll have a section of pool noodle protruding at the top and a section at the bottom. Alright, so I've got the pool noodles on the pipe, and I've actually cut some wedges or made some cuts into the pipe at the bottom, as you can see there. And that's just so I could put a clamp over that, over these cuts, over these sections, and then clamp that onto the top of the power twister. So now that's ready to go on there, and then the clamp just clamps that in place. Alright, well that's all in place, and it's ready for my target to be placed over the top like this. Alright, so that's there. Let me show you how to make one of these. Working with pool noodles is super easy, and it's a lot of fun. You can make shapes like this. So I'm going to go ahead and make one like that using this section here. This is 14 inches roughly, and I'm going to cut it lengthwise in half. I'm just going to use scissors. Alright, so I've just cut these in half, and I'm going to use each half to make one of these round things. So it's just going around the pool noodle, and I'm going to sort of trim it on an angle, and I'll show you how. So trimming this on an angle like that. So I'm going to cut that off. And what that does is allows the pool noodle to wrap closely, for the ends to close closely on next to each other, and then I just wrap tape around it. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap some tape now. Okay, just to show you, I'm going around with this rubbery tape. It's a PVC tape, and it molds to the shape of the noodle. Now, for this section where the noodle actually meets, the two ends of the noodle meet, I used a section of cloth tape. So this is the Gorilla duct tape that I've used, and that's to stop it from stretching. You don't want that to stretch, whereas the rest of it, you want the tape to mold to the shape. So I'm just going over that duct tape again, just to complete it. Okay, and there it is. I've got two of these ball things, and they work well. One turned out a little bit smaller than the other. I'm not sure why. They do still slide around. Okay, next, I need to create something to fill this bulk to make it more like a speed bag. Alright, so here I've got another length of half section. This one's nearly 20 inches long, so about 19 and a half inches. And this one will go on around the outside of these two. So hopefully I'll be able to make them meet. And that should make for a nice spherical shape, or semi-spherical, nearly spherical shape, similar to a speed bag. Alright guys, it's done. There you go. Next I'm going to use the same tape but black. I like the black colour for it outside of this ball to make it look like a real speed bag. So I'm going to use the same rubbery duct tape, and I'm going to put strips like this all the way around to make this into the speed bag. Okay guys, well here it is. I've put strips of tape all the way around, and I've even put tape inside. So I've put tape through there and just stuck it like that. And it took me quite some time to do it. Now, the reason I put tape inside is that I can slide it onto a noodle quite easily. So now that makes for quite a nice sort of speed bag. Now, this actually feels really nice. Like, I like the surface, I like the density. It's very similar to a normal speed bag, but it's never going to get a puncture. So you never need to pump it up. Height adjustment. Now there's various ways you can adjust the height. You can move this up or down. You can make this section taller, so you can use a longer pipe and also a longer pool noodle. You can also adjust here where I've got the hose clamp. This can be adjusted up and down to some degree. Now, if you're using a stronger spring, like a 40 kilo spring, you'll need to make the top section heavier to allow for that. The bottom is also adjustable if you're using an umbrella stand, so you can move it up or down. So you can vary where you want the spring to be positioned. I think the best position for the spring is roughly at hip height. Alright guys, well it's time to put the gloves on and see how this thing performs. Now I'm also going to compare it to my original PVC pipe version. Alright. The speed's alright, speed's pretty good. I like this section at the top because it comes closer towards me, so I can punch this, but this is what I need to avoid getting hit. Alright, so that's just some uppercuts. Alright, let's check out this one in comparison. Now this design is slightly different. I've actually taped the pool noodle with rubber tape and I've moved my target higher up. But in this case, I'm actually punching there and I'm using my target to do uppercuts. So that sort of man, I do love this thing. It just comes at you. This thing is like, it's going to hit you in the forehead. And you know, that makes you want to keep your head down. All right. I love the oscillation side of it. Goes around in a circle. So they're the things I really am impressed with a PVC style reflex action as opposed to the spring. The spring is still good for its benefits of bending, so you can do uppercuts that way. They're both pretty good and both have advantages. I'm actually going to try a few different ideas to use as the pole. For example, I'm going to try a fishing rod. So fiberglass poles. Guys, let me know if you've got any ideas of what I can use for the pole, because that seems to be the secret to it. And more stuff coming up. And I'll see you guys next time.